Yeah, what's up? What's up? What's up with y'all? What's up with y'all? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Y'all know what it is. Y'all know who it is. It's Trout Wham on Twitter. Who-Bangin Sports Talk. Got the NBA intro in there. We gotta fix it in there, but this is an NFL show. This is 2023 NFL season preview, bold predictions, players that we expect to have breakout seasons, such and such. Maybe players that may be a little overvalued as well. We would talk a little bit about that as well. Got a lot of opinions. We only got this shit narrowed down by each division. Last time we did two divisions. This time we will do the same. We're only gonna do two divisions, and I thought it would be cooler if I could get some type of interaction with Spaces. So I don't know if there's anybody that's going to join or not, or if the connection's even good or not. I haven't really tested it in a while, but I think it may be straight. So if someone does so happen to hop in here and you hear this on the YouTube, don't be alarmed. That is also people listening in on Spaces, being able to speak. You can do the same if you go to my Twitter, Trotwim on Twitter, and you follow us there. We are live right now on Spaces. If you're following this live, you're out of there. Okay. Yeah. So just to get right into this, we're going to start off with the AFC North preview. I'm going to go into this as far as what I think is going to happen as far as how this is going to shake out. So I expect this to be a really competitive. I expect this division to be very competitive, and along with that, just have a lot of parity. Even though last year it was a lot of parity as well. So let's talk about it right now. We could talk about the Cincinnati later, but let's talk about the Cleveland Browns win total at 9.5. Season ranked. Sorry, season strength of schedule is ranked 26, which is the easiest in the division, which is the easiest in the division there. Sorry if you couldn't hear me the whole time. Sorry about that. Last year they finished last in the division, though, 7-10, splitting the division through. They split the division though, which everyone did pretty much, but they split the division with a point differential of plus 7, +6, and a -2. The Browns here, they also went 2-6 in one possession games. So as far as one possession point differential there. So, in very one score games, they were 2-6 in those scenarios, but not being able to close out down the stretch. A lot of that was inconsistencies with Deshaun Watson down the stretch. He never really found the rhythm. The weapons there wasn't really found in the rhythm as well. Now, obviously, we can definitely credit. I just drew a blank there, in the wide receiver there that coming out of Dallas there with the trade. He was very productive. He's going to continue to be productive, but that alone wasn't enough for them to be able to push the envelope. And then, along with Nudreku, I said his name messed up as well, but along with him, he was even playing bad. So I expect the Cleveland Browns, and I've been doing that in these NFL shows, mixing them up with the NBA, starting the NBA intros. Crazy. Sorry, y'all, but it's gonna be something I gotta get used to. You know what I'm saying? It's a new season. But yeah, the Cleveland Browns, I kind of expect them to have a certain type of turnaround, because a lot of that inconsistency in those one possession games, one score games, like I said, they were 2-6 in those scenarios last year. They turned that around. They have an actual successful season, possibly making a playoff run, just based off of what they had around them last year. Now, not saying that they lost a lot. They really necessarily didn't, but they are gaining a lot in difference of what they are revamping, as far as, especially on the defensive side of things. Now, getting Jim Swartz is probably not something that's going to stick out there to a lot of people. That's a big deal, but I think that's a big deal, in my opinion, with the Cleveland Browns. Um, I think that Jim Shorts coming in there, being the defensive coordinator, along with adding guys like Rodney McLeod, and they haven't really talked too much about them, but Dalvin Thomason and the main guy is Darius Smith. Those be the main guys that people have been talking about as far as added on the defense. Don't get me wrong, that's big additions, especially as far as what they're being paired up with, as far as helping out Denzel Ward and Miles Garrett. Don't get me wrong, I love Jadeveon Clowney, but I think he's going to have a good pairing along with those defensive players on the back end, along with Denzel Ward. So I like the defense really being revamped for the Browns. A lot of my issue with the Browns is not only necessarily is their strength of schedule, because they got an easy strength of schedule, the best of that, and I do expect them to have a good chemistry with Elijah Moore being added into this offense. I do like that added in to the freak man, you know what I'm saying, to his offense there. And shout out to everybody that's watching here on YouTube. My boy JPZ up in here. And again, we are tuning in here live on Twitter as well, on Spaces. If you want to hop in here, don't want to show your face, you can hop in here and talk to me as well on Spaces. I'm live right now on there. You could definitely hop in there and holler at me. But shout out to my boy JPZ. Shout out to him. Always love. You already know, bro. But yeah, I got Deshaun Watson actually making a better start than what he did last year. But the thing that concerns me is that they have an early bye. I don't like the early bye for teams. This is something that you're going to hear me as far as saying consistently enough throughout these little previews here. I'm going to continue to tell you I don't like the early buys. I like the later on buys, especially when you think about teams that have injuries later on down the line in the season, trying to get that extra push towards the playoffs, having that extra bye week later on down the season. I think that makes a little bit much of a difference, within teams' push there. So having it early is kind of like making it a little bit more tougher. And I think that's what you're seeing here with the Cleveland Browns, because their bye is in week 4. So their bye is in week 4. So the way I've been looking at these teams is about the first 5 weeks. So the first 5 weeks is interrupted by the bye. So we're going to go through and talk about the first 4 weeks, opponents here. So it's Cincinnati is the first game that they play. Now, maybe that's without Joe Burrow. Now, we're going to talk about that a little bit more into this show, but we know about the injury situation with Joe Burrow. So it's soon to know if he's going to play. I'm going to say he started off and he does play, but maybe they don't win that game. That's a good confidence booster for this Cleveland Browns team there, if they were able to win a first off divisional game at the house against a divisional opponent there. That's a pretty solid divisional opponent. Same thing. Next game is against another divisional opponent, but it's on the road. It's against the Steelers. Then after that, they play the Tennessee. Following that is another divisional game against the Ravens. Now, that's not easy. A few games to start off with. It's pretty tough if you think about it, especially now after that. You don't have buys and things of that nature, but there is a situation that leads up to them having pretty good, pretty good situational stats down the line as far as like what they able to give up there. So let me pull up and shout out to my guy. Like I said last time, shout out to my guy Will Capper that's giving out a great tool as far as situational matrix, as far as the spread for the schedule. And I've always been referencing that. That's pretty dope as hell. Like, so, but after the bye week, I'm sorry, and the bye week is week 5 for the Browns. My apologies. So the first 4 games is the way it is. After that's week 5 bye week there. But following that, they do go on a road trip. You know what I mean? After that bye week, they play. They stay at the house, go against San Francisco. They most likely will lose that game, even if they are in a better situation for as far as like point travel, and they are in a better situation as far as like rest. I think they still lose to that team because it's just such a high power offense. I know they're going to have really good defense, like I hyped up as far as the Browns. I just don't expect them to have really good bounce back, just enough. So maybe I am going to fade them coming out of the bye. I don't know. Just let me see how Brock Purdy looks, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Yada yada. But yeah. But I'm already looking into trying to fade them, even though it's a pretty good situation for them all around. In that situation. But yeah. Um, don't get me wrong there. As far as the Browns, I do think that they are going to be pretty tough because they're going to have an easier schedule down the stretch. But starting off is going to be the toughest of the stretch, so they can't find themselves in a bad predicament going 0 for 4. You know what I mean? Within those first 4 games, so I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen. But even if it does, I think they can find themselves and bounce back, getting themselves in a wild card. So I don't want to count them out. I don't expect them to win this division though. So as far as the win total, I'm not going to be betting that either because it just doesn't seem like something I want to put my money on. 9.5 is pretty sharp as far as what they have. As far as like I said, the strength of schedule is pretty solid there. So I'm gonna stick to that and leave that alone. This next team, I don't have too much to talk about either because it's a lot of speculation. And I'm sorry here if someone had to want to talk here on Spaces. I'm over here messed up. I got the shit off of there. My fault. But yeah, yeah. So as far as the Pittsburgh Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers, the win total is 8.5. Strength of schedule is 25th in the league. Last year they went 9-8. Another AFC, split year as far as down the stretch there. Now, it was a lot of scare about Mike Tomlin having a bad year. Obviously, they talked about that all down the stretch of the season about him possibly having a losing season. He wasn't able to. He was able to get overcome from that. Was able to do pretty solid there as far as the win percentage. I'm sorry, the win differential against the divisional opponents. It was +2, +1, -4. I felt that it was it was one of those wash years. They got a lot of things going on, a lot of turnarounds, and they were able to find good little diamonds in the rough there. T.J. Watt obviously got hurt. Once he gets hurt, it's over with for the defense. We all know that. So um, Kenny Pickett played really well. George Pickens played really well. I like those guys to have a really better second year. So those guys are going to have to make, big leaps, of course, in order for them to have success. But I do see that in them, and I do see that especially with George Pickens. I like the way he plays routes, where his positioning is, and I think he is going to be continue to play really well as long as Kenny Pickett continues to give him the ball at more than Deontay Johnson. I hope they don't play that bullshit with him, and he drops a lot of passes, and it's all bad for them as far as rhythm wise, as far as running the ball. I think that's all going to coincide with if they're catching the ball, moving the chain. So, yeah, we got to look into that. Obviously, they got what else was there to talk about there? Shout out to everybody that's listening here on Spaces. There, appreciate you. But one thing that I do want to say that not only about TJ Watt with their defense there, but last year they were 54.6 sacks. That I mean, I'm sorry. The focal point last year, the focal point should have been more about the little sacks there. They weren't able to get any sacks. They had 40 sacks. Pretty low for them as far as since, like I said, 2017. So that was pretty low as far as what they were doing last year as far as getting to that pressure. I know that had a lot to do with TJ Watt. That's why I mentioned that. But for the most part, they're gonna have to make those type of adjustments. I do like the fact that they got Patrick Peterson. I do like the fact that they are Keneal Neal, not only because he's an ex-Falcons, I'm a Falcon fan, yada yada, but I do like the fact that they got those type of guys, Pro Bowl type of defensive guys, more leadership type of guys around this type of team that is most likely going to have a good season, another successful winning season that we're pretty much accustomed to under to Mike Tomlin. So I think that's what we expect here. Um, it's a lot to build on. We're going 7-2 down the last 9 games as far as what they were able to do with the Steelers. I think they can definitely build on top of that. So, like I said, I don't expect nothing but a winning season from the Steelers team, but it's similar to how I feel about the Browns. I think that it's a certain cap there for this team, maybe only wild card, and then following that, that's pretty much it. Without that, that's pretty much all I want to say there as far as that team, and that's pretty much it. I'm sorry, I know we got here pretty quick. We here 15 minutes. I know if you are listening in on Spaces, shout out to you. Appreciate you. We on YouTube as well. But yeah, there it is right there. So Cincinnati is the next, and I'm like I said, I'm going in order of where I think this division is going to go, and I think this is kind of where it's going to go here as well. I think Cincinnati's win totals at 11.5. Strength of schedule, as far as the strength of schedule is ranked at a 17th. Very interesting here. Last year, NFC North champs went 12-4. 6-1 at the house. Was fucking dominant at the house last year. AFC Championship. Lost to Kansas City there. Off season. Got a lot of protection. Here. Signing Orlando Brown, and on the third day of a free agency after letting Jesse Bates go, Hayden Hurts go. So they had a lot of guys go. Samaje Perine left as well. So they lost a few guys, but pretty much went straight to what they wanted to do as far as protect Joe Burrow. Then he ended up going down on a non-contact injury. Like, what type of shit is that? Like, that's you can't make things like that up, but you got to go with the flow. And I feel like if this team continues to go with the flow and find them ways to be able to, have positivity down the stretch, make improvements just by the minimum. That sounds very cliche, I'm sure, but if they're able to do those type of things, you might see them make that actual extra step that they can win this division. Now, I don't expect them to do that. I'm not going to lie. I don't expect them to do that. They may be a little fat and happy because they haven't successfully been able to do a lot of things, and especially even though they got better at the offensive line, maybe there is something underlining other than a calf injury. I'm not hoping that, but maybe there is something a little bit more underlining. A lot of people know the first thought was Achilles. We don't want to say that, but there have been several cases that I've observed, at least. I'm not a doctor, but that the Achilles, it is kind of connected to the, the calf, and those things kind of coincide. So I'm not saying that is the case. One thing about this team that they do have going for them, they have, if I'm not mistaken, and again, I've been going directly to my guy, Well Capper's Matrix. Very, very useful. So one thing that's interesting about this team is that they have one game where they have a real bad, as far as rest advantage situation, and it's about 7 points difference as far as what they're going to be giving up as far as on the points to their opponents, and that's against the Denver. I'm sorry, not Denver. That's against the Seahawks right before their bye, which is on week 7. So as far as the Cincinnati Bengals, they have a bye on week 7. Right before that, they had one of the worst situational rest situations against the Seahawks. Now it's at home, so they do have something. They have something going for them as far as the travel. They have a travel advantage there as far as them having to travel there. So I think that's going to kind of offset it. But if they're able to win that game and go into that after that, they go on the road to San Francisco. Obviously, similar situation where they just kind of had on the opposite side of what they had to do against the Seahawks as far as having the travel disadvantage, but having the rest advantage. It's very similar with the Seahawks there. So if they're able to do that, very key things in my opinion, like as far as what type of team we're going to be dealing with. They're able to win both of those games, they're going to win the whole fucking division. No worry. But if they win or half ass that game, or win one of those games and half ass that game, I think they're very iffy, and it's gonna be something I'm going to be paying closely attention to there. Shout out to my guy Dabby Cash. Shout out to Good here. Shout out to everybody else, especially if you out here on Spaces. I'm sorry if I'm not paying attention. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But yeah, man. But I appreciate y'all. Yeah. So again, Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, man. Like, it's some good news behind this Joe Burrow shit though too, because I've been hearing a lot of things that he's been right on path to get back right. So I don't think that he's going to be out the paint that long. So as far as Joe Burrow, I think that's the good news there. He's not going to be out the paint that long. I don't, like I said, it was Achilles there. That's what it is. But and I mostly mentioned the bye week because of the overall schedule. But if we're talking about, this team here, it's gonna be one of those things. It's gonna be interesting to see how this team plays out. It gets a lot of tougher after week 7. After that, they play the 49ers, Ravens on Thursday night football, the Jags on Monday night football, Steelers again later on there, and then the Bills later on there as well. So it's pretty tough there for the Bengals after the bye, but I think that there's still a good chance that if they win those 2 games right there, they're gonna be fucking steaming, and they're gonna be steaming past a lot of these teams that, like I just mentioned, that's gonna be pretty good. And I may be buying back on the next play that I'm about to be talking about. I'm not gonna lie, if they win those 2 games, and I'll just tell you that straight up out here on the preview. But this next team, it's the team that I'm fucking with here. I think that they did enough. And as far as the team I'm talking about, it's the Baltimore Ravens. If you listening on Spaces, I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens here. I do like their win total over 10.5. I'm not taking that though. I like their season win strength of schedule as well. And that's not the reason why I'm taking and there's certain reasons why I'm not taking the 10.5, even though I know they're going to be able to pull it off. And I have all the full confidence that they will pull it off. I just believe deep down that they're going to win this division, because once you pass the Cincinnati Bengals, there's cakewalk. This is going to be a cakewalk as far as what they are going to have to do to win this division. It's so much harder for the Browns. It's so much harder for the Browns to pull that shit off other than it is for the Bengals. It's so much harder for the Steelers to pull it off other than the Ravens. So once Cincinnati is out the paint, not saying that Joe Burrow's injury is real serious, because, like, again, I don't think it's that serious. I think he's going to come back and do his thing. He's going to probably even play that first game. I think he even plays the first game. But let's be real, man. After you look back and pull it back, last year they went 10-7. Like I said, everybody in the division split. Everybody split the division. This division is a mess, Damon. You're right. This division is a mess. It's very tight, very tight. Everybody split the division last year. That's why I talk about the point differentials here in this game. And I actually had it up here for Baltimore. Let me pull it up. But let's talk about it though, man. This Ravens team is the only team that I feel like has made the most difference out of everybody. Am I right or am I wrong? Like, let's talk about, like, we got people here that could talk on Spaces. We got people that's in here in the chat. Let's talk about it right now, y'all. Who's made the more improvements? Who's made the more adjustments? Who's made the more technical adjustments as well, as far as like personnel? Who's made the more crucial adjustments? And I think it's a lot of that has to do with what they had to do in the offseason. Now, there was a lot of motion, a lot of commotion, a lot of everything that you want to talk about the boy getting his money as far as Lamar Jackson. He didn't play the last final 6 games over a PCL sprain with his knee. You know, the Ravens went all the way to the NFL playoffs, still had opportunity to go far in the playoffs. He didn't play still. It's all good. Still got paid, though, right? Still getting paid 126 million. You know what I'm saying? Did what he had to do. Meanwhile, the running backs ain't getting paid. But we did see that, J.K. Dobbins did show up for the little stuff right now, the training camp stuff. So he's showing up. We know Zay Flowers, who they actually drafted, is expected to be one of the better offensive rookies. Which I'm not gonna lie, I'm not all the way locked in on Zay Flowers. Not really locked in all the way on Zay Flowers. I'm locked in on the Ravens, but I'm not locked in on Zay Flowers, and there's a reason why. You're not gonna hear too much out of me unless I see a big production as far as him being like the number one wide receiver. I think they have so many cooks in the kitchen. It's gonna be a lot. It's hard to target one guy. Let's talk about that too. They have a lot of cooks now. At first, it was just one cook in Mark Andrews. They actually got 2 tight ends now. They got Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, which I love. I love Isaiah Likely. It's gonna be one of those guys that be stealing one of those touchdowns that you was hoping that was gonna happen. Stealing those touchdowns and shit. I think they're gonna spread the offense around. So I think they're gonna do that for sure. I think they're gonna spread the offense around. Starts off with who they got on the offensive coordinator, Todd McKinnon, out of Georgia, one of the Bulldogs, won them back-to-back championships there, over there doing their thing. Talking about a lot about creating space, making that room there. One thing I know I want to see for sure is a healthy Rashad Bateman. We got to see a healthy Rashad Bateman before all this stuff works out. I still believe and I still got hope that he's the best receiver that they have. I still believe that he's the best receiver that they have. But there's actually a lot of cooks in the kitchen. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. I could even see there's chances that J.K. Dobbins could be making, receiving and getting some actual targets thrown his way. So I actually believe that he's going to be able to play. So, as far as some of these running backs, they've been doing their thing, getting disrespected. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to come in there and come back and play. Some of these other players are shown. Saquon Barkley played. Some of these guys already shown that they're going to play. So, it is what it is there. So, as far as this team, I like this team all the way down the line. If we talk about the actual problem here with this team, the only thing that I'm very concerned with now, it's nothing to do with the start. I think we have a great chance to just keep backing them. We know how serious they take the preseason. They're going to continue to do that all throughout, all the way up to the first game. Their first game is against the Houston Texans. After that, it's the Cincinnati Bengals, following the Indianapolis Colts. Then it's the Browns. Then it's Pittsburgh. The Browns in Pittsburgh and Cincinnati games, all the games that they're playing against their divisional opponents is all on the road. They start off with those road games against their divisional opponents. They don't have a bye until week 13, though. So that's the reason why I want to start off saying that I like the later buys. This is a great example of why this makes more sense for me to like them over a little bit more than the Bengals to start off this season. Because not only because they start off against the Texans, but they are going to be able to play their divisional opponents first on their turf. stealing stealing a couple of those games. They're going to be able to steal a couple of those games. So I think that's going to happen. I think they are going to be able to find a rhythm early. And that being said, there are going to be chances that you're going to see Lamar Jackson MVP chances. Maybe we're able to hop in on them at one time within week 3, you know, uh, and get some value there. So I think there are going to be moments here that we can find value within this team. And I'm starting off with it early. I took the Ravens to win the AFC North at plus 225. This is official bet for me. Yeah, I know it took 30 minutes for I started giving out official bets. I appreciate y'all for listening in. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. But this is my official bet for this game. It's not game, I'm sorry. For this division. It's gonna be the Ravens to win the North, AFC North at plus 225. Another one of the big boy bets I had to put down there. Kind of put my nuts where, no, what the fuck. Putting my money where my mouth is, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy as fuck. Put my nuts down, put money where my mouth is. I was trying to say the same thing at the same time. Almost mushed those together, was making a crazy sound. That was gonna be crazy. What up, my boy DJ Big Boss? Damon up in here. Zay Flowers is shifty. Will play tight. He will play right away. I know he's gonna play right away. He's gonna play really well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not really ready for the hype, or I'm just really talking about fantasy wise. And this show is not only about making bets. We're going to talk about fantasy as well. That's going to be mostly targeting like daily fantasies, nothing about, what you should be drafting, do your own research, do what you want to do. But we're going to be talking about daily fantasy and that's it. But yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's talk about this next division, man. We already locked in on one. Let's talk about the AFC East. I don't know, where should I start off? Let's talk about the Miami Dolphins here first. So the AFC East is another team. I think both of these divisions are one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. These divisions is just ridiculous. So AFC East, starting off with the Miami Dolphins. They 9-8 last year. It was a lot of injuries going on. First injury you think about is Tua. They split the division as well in this series with the differentials of +4 against New England, -1 against the Bills, -18 against the Jets. And most of those were led by Zach Wilson. -18 against the Jets. Let's talk about that. So the Miami Dolphins, Tua health, was the outlier of the season. That's for sure. Like they had to bubble wrap him towards the end of the season, and he still ended up getting hurt. It was a lot going on with this team with the Miami Dolphins here. So I just believe that they went backwards. They couldn't, recover. Their offense was very dependent on Tua. There were moments that they had chances there, but they still were the 31st had rushing attempts. So, the fact that one of your top passers is gone, you're really relying on, backup passers, second meat to, be able to pull off a 5-star dinner. It's not going to really work out like that. So, they seem to emphasize on the defense in the offseason. I do like the hiring of Vic Fangio, trading for Jalen Ramsey. Obviously, he ended up getting hurt, so that's throwing off their motive there. They talked about that, trying to having guys step up in his absence, but it seemed like they had a lot of eggs in one basket with that kind of move with Jalen Ramsey. So I don't know how that's going to work for this team, but I'm doing this the same order here. I think this team is going to have struggles just like they had last year. I do think that they are going to be an offensive juggernaut though still, and they are going to have great offensive output, and you're going to find yourself taking a lot of or starting a lot of their guys on offense like Tyreek Hill, Waddle, even Chase Edmonds maybe at one point, some of those guys over there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they make do there, but at some point I expect Tua to get hurt. I'm not unfortunate. That's just what it is. I think Tua gonna get hurt, and it is what it is there. So I just I hope that this doesn't happen. But the fact that they putting this win total at 9.5, I can only think to go under. What I didn't talk about is their strength of schedule. They have the toughest strength of schedule. Not the toughest in the division, I believe. I don't think it's the toughest in the division. Let me double check that. Let me double check. 1 second. No, so it's not the toughest in the division. It's not the toughest in the division, but it is because oh yeah, it is the tough. I'm sorry, the Patriots is right there. The Patriots right there, but it's so close. You could kind of give it to the. I would say I would give it to the Patriots having a more tougher schedule. Um, I would say the Patriots have a more tougher schedule because it just starts off a little bit more tougher. Even though the first two games that the Miami Dolphins have is against the Chargers, and then they play the Patriots. Both of those games are on the road. And then following that, they play Denver. Then they play the Bills. So it sounds like they're tougher, but in reality, they're playing a lot of these road games early. I just kind of fuck with that. I don't know why. That's just I invite that type of strategy. Not even if it was something intentional. Obviously, it wasn't, but I like that strategy of trying to go and steal some home games early within your schedule. And then once you start to settle in on the season, you play a lot of more of your home games down the stretch. For example, their last set of 5 games, last 5 games, 4 of those are at the house. You know what I'm saying? So I like that look for you going over this 9.5. But for the most part, I don't like it at all because I don't think they're going to win a lot of these games early on. So um, even then, though, this is going to be a tough. It's going to be tough there for the Miami Dolphins, and I don't know if there's going to be any room for improvement. That much room for improvement, especially when the defense kind of a lot of that's relying on Jalen Ramsey. I could just see it there. So as far as this next team, we talked about it a little bit, but as far as the Patriots last year, this is the only bet that I made last year as far as future wise. I had the under 8.5, 8.5 season win. Last year they went 8-9, going 2-0 with the Jets, which was annoying as hell because that's the reason why I bet this damn total is that they're gonna lose at least one of those games against the Jets. I would have a lot more, less sweat down the stretch, obviously, but they won both of those games, and especially won by fluke run back down the line. It was real strange, but neither here nor there. 2-0 against the Jets. 1-1 against the Miami Dolphins, and 0-2 against the Bills at +12, -11, -26 differential. So there was very much a lot. And I'm sorry, I didn't move this on the ticker there. I thought I did. There's a lot to improve as far as on the offensive side going into this season. And in my opinion, everything offensively seems to gotten a little better. I think the Juju signing is not bad. You know what I mean? It's not bad. Um, it's not bad at all. But and he's going to be their best wide receiver. I think I think he's going to be their better wide receiver for sure. But let's be real, bro. Like, let's be real. And I'm on a Jets. What the hell? I thought I was on a. I thought I was on. What am I doing? I'm sorry, y'all. Am I pressing this on accident? That's crazy. I'm not talking about the Patriots, y'all. I'm talking about the Patriots. So, uh, Yeah, and I like the Mario Douglas. I like the Mario Douglas as well, who they drafted. He seemed like he's going to be playing pretty solid. Probably a guy that they're going to use him in spurts there. Um, I think that this Patriots team got a little better. I think they got a little better, and I'm not ready to bet against them. Now, obviously, their season win total went down 1 point from last year. We took the under 8.5. It's 7.5 this time. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I think Bill O'Brien being added to this shit makes a big difference, bro. That sound crazy as fuck, don't it? I need to put some orange up. Y'all heard me, man. I said that shit. Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien is a difference maker. He's a difference maker. He's a difference maker, bro. I don't like they lost Damian Harris, but let's be real. Like Damian Harris really was taking a lot out of Rashad Ramondre Stevenson's hands. Once they figure out that Ramondre could catch the ball, that's all they wanted to do. And they didn't have a fucking offensive coordinator last year, y'all. Very Damon just said, if you listening on Spaces, Damon just said right now, the Patriots were Jekyll and Hyde, bruh. Think about this. This is why I talk about Bill O'Brien. I'm gonna put Bill O'Brien? Bill O'Brien, bro? Yes, Bill O'Brien. The reason why I'm talking about Bill O'Brien being a big help for this Patriots team, because last year they kept going to the same dumb shit and it was never gonna work, bro. They were never gonna win this like this. You know what I mean? Now you see it even a little bit in preseason. Mac Jones is actually pretty solid. He's really good. He doesn't have to do this bullshit. He, they're forcing him to do this shit from last year. He was forced, y'all. He's actually going to be solid this year, I think. And I think a lot of that ties into them actually having an offensive coordinator. Bill O'Brien is going to save this legacy here for Bill Belichick. Gonna save it, bro. They're gonna contend for this damn. Uh, they're gonna contend for this damn division. Do I think they're gonna win this division? They're not gonna have a chance. Y'all heard those differentials from last year. Now I know it's new regime with Bill O'Brien, but it's not that much of an offensive improvement. It's still Juju Smith Schuster, y'all. It's still Juju Smith Schuster. Let's be real. Excuse me. Sorry about that. That was disgusting. But yeah, so all right, so I'm really I'm looking at this Patriots as an over candidate for sure on 7.5, but I'm not really looking for them to win this division. That's not going to be where I'm going in this division at all, and I'm staying away from that for sure. Next team is I don't even know. It's the Jets. Let's talk about them. This is one of the easier teams to talk about. This is one of the easiest teams to talk about, bro. The Jets last year, they went 7-10. One of my favorite teams. Now Robert Saleh is entering his third year, and he has the most pressure that he's ever had as a Jets coach. They don't have Zach Wilson as their quarterback. They don't got, Kirk Cousins. You know what I'm saying? They got Aaron Rodgers, bro. And they've been linked into him since the Super Bowl, it seemed like. Been linked into him it seemed like it was already locked in. So what you think, what we see from the offense, we've seen Brees Hall already show that he's a leading back. We've seen Garrett Wilson already show that he's a leading wide receiver. Then what they do, they bring in a veteran quarterback and he bring his veteran homies. veteran wide receiver homies and adding as in Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard, and I like they a wide receiver room prior with Elijah Moore. So once they traded Elijah Moore, I was kind of annoyed, and I originally just didn't like the move. But once I see the little play, I'm like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing here. I see where we're going. We know how the defense is. They got Sauce Gardner. They got a great defensive line. Offensive line is solid. They're coming into this season with a lot of high expectations, and they're coming into this season with a strength of schedule ranked 6. Not that bad, not that shabby, and it's not. It's nothing that it's nothing that I really could say about this New York Jets team, but other than that, their first 5 games are the true test is if we're trusting this team for real or we're not. Now, the first 5 games, they play Buffalo first. They play them at the house. So they play in MetLife, a primetime game against the Buffalo Bills. And we see it right here. We see it right here. Look at this one. This right here. This is a big game. This is a highlight game. That game is going to set it all off. It's going to set it all off. Is this for real or is this not? I think that they do have like one of those things like it's going to be a magical year. They're going to have a lot of things there. And shout out, yeah, Corey Davis is better than Allen Lazard. I love their wide receiver room already. That's what I was trying to get to. And I like Hardman. I like McCall Hardman being added in there too. And I forgot to add that. But Garrett Wilson is the number one. We all know that, Damon. We all know that. But it's talking about that first 5 games. Buffalo first at the house. Then they go on the road against the Cowboys. Then they play another divisional opponent in the Patriots. Kansas City at the house. Both of those are home games. And then they play Denver on the road in the altitude. Probably one of the toughest games before the bye. There's going to be that game. Maybe you could say it's the Dallas game, but I think that Denver game is going to be a little bit more tougher. Following that, they have a bye on their week 7. Week 7 is their bye. Following that, they have a little bit stretch, but it's kind of a cake. It's kind of a cake for the Jets, and I like them to be second in this division for just that reason. I think it's kind of cake after their bye week, and I'm going to really pay attention to these first few games. Like I said, like we're going to be able to trust them if they could win this first game, hold it down at the house, and uh and go on from there. Do I trust them to win this first game? I actually am not betting against them, or I'm not betting for them in this game. So I'm not going to bet against the Bills, or I'm not going to bet for the Bills against and these guys. It's 9-11. It's in MetLife. It's in New York. I'm not going to bet against New York team on 9/11. It just don't make sense. But superstitious a lot alone. Like, just let's be real. Like, it's an actual good game to bet against Josh Allen. It's a good game to go the other way. So I think the spot alone is telling me to take the Bills. But I'm not going to do that at all. And that kind of goes into reason why I like the Bills. Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So I like the Bills, man. The Bills, they win total is 10.5. Season strength of schedule is ranked 11. Really, it's ranked 7. I'm sorry. Actually, I got this wrong. Do I got this wrong? What the fuck? Yeah, I got this wrong. Sorry, y'all. It's 7, not 15. I don't want to confuse nobody. All right, so it's seventh, and let's talk about this. Like, okay, so every year under Josh Allen, they've been getting better. Last year they went 13-3. They won a division. They went to the division round, lost to the Bengals. Had a situation where the Bengals. It seemed like once that once that situation with the Bengals happened, where the player almost passed away on the field, paramedics were luckily able to respond and get him back resuscitated and save his life from there. Once that happened, everything kind of threw the season off, I think, for the Bills. It seemed like it kind of gave power to the Bengals, but it kind of threw the Bills off. And I think it gave power to the Bengals because they were winning the game. They were winning the game at the time of it happening. You know what I mean? They were winning the game. They were trying to retaliate. So I think the way that happened, it just psychologically threw off the Bills. And then, even though they won a division, it wasn't the actual goal. The goal is not just to win the division, to win the actual AFC, win the Super Bowl is the goal. We all know that. So every year they get better, and I think they did get better last year in the offseason. As far as the last year, like I said, they went 13-3 in the division. In the division, they also went plus 12, plus 26, plus 5, plus 1 in point differential against all these opponents. 2-0 against the Patriots, 1-1 with the Jets and the Dolphins. The Bills knock every year has always been that they don't have any run support outside of Josh Allen. Every year it's the same shit. They don't have any run support outside of Josh Allen. This year, they seem like they took it a little serious. Not only did they get rid of Singletary, more so of a dual catching back, they got rid of all that scenario and got more so of a, first down, every down back in Damian Harris. And they are able to build off of an impressive rookie campaign from James Cook going into his second year. I think that's kind of settled now. I think that's settled. I should have had some water. I don't know why I don't have no water. I think that's settled. And excuse me. I think that's settled. And it's been the main knock against them over the last few years. I like them being able to take advantage of that, and not take advantage of that, but take it serious this year and really address the issue. Now, their first 5 games is very interesting because it includes international travel. And this is the reason why I kind of like the Bills, because the way the international travel has always been one of these fluff games. It's always been one of these fluff games, and it's not a fluff game this year. So week 1, they go on the road, like we talked about, it's against the Jets. This is a game that I do not want to bet against them, and I do not want to bet for them. But if I was to bet with them, I would be way more confident than if I was to bet against them. I told you guys, it is against a New York team on 9/11. That's a bad look. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that guy. But if they win that game, we wouldn't be surprised. None of y'all will be surprised. It'll be another day to talk about the Jets. Another day to talk bad about the Jets. And they could go on their run. Because following that game, it will be a run if they win that game. And I can guarantee it. Because they play the Raiders at home. Following that is a tough game for the Raiders. The Raiders have to fly across. They have to fly across time zone to play that game. Well, actually, yeah, they have to fly across time zone from Vegas to play that game on the road. and it's a morning change game. So excuse me. It's a tough turnaround for Vegas on that game. So I think they got such an advantage on the travel and the scheduling. They're going to be able to win that game just not only by talent and along with just getting a good schedule there. So I like that look a lot for them to win those, or possibly win those first two games. After that, they play a game on the road against the Washington Commanders. I think they have a really good shot of winning that game as well on the road. Following that is against Tua at home when they have a pretty good rest advantage, travel advantage there. Because at that point it'll be a little bit trickier travel spot for Miami, and then they go on the toughest of them all of those 5 games. They go on the international game against the Jaguars. This is the reason why I said the Jaguars always do this every year. They're used to this trip. They're the team that you don't want to go against when they go on the national, you know. But the Bills, they're not any foreign to international games either. And along with them not being foreign to it, they're ready for this. They're one of those teams that actually overly prepared for this. So I think they are going to be prepared. They're going to lock in all the way. And that's the reason why I like them to go possibly 5-0. And I think the Hurricane Hillary, that bitch, showed up. Shout out to her. Hurricane Hillary showed up, man. Shout out to that bitch, man. And at that point, man, I'm going to just let y'all know this is it. I need to get some water. I didn't take that much of a juicier spot. I took this as just out of my, again, like, gotta stick to my guns. And it's gonna be the Bills to win the AFC East at plus 110. This isn't a big boy bet. I'll be totally honest with you. It's not a big boy bet. This is just a very confident bet. I don't feel like I will get better odds throughout the year. So I'm taking it now. And it's the Bills to win the East. I think they're going to play really well within those first 5 games. Once I say they win that game overseas, you're going to see this be more so of a minus 220 than the plus 110. So just getting it on it early. It's the Bills to win the East. That's the only logic that I have of taking it right now, is because I believe that it's going to be a worse line later on down the line. So it's the Bills to win the AFC East, and then we gave y'all the Ravens to win the AFC North plus 225. Those are my 2 official bets for this show. It's the NFL schedule breakdown, preview, bold predictions, breakout stars. We're going to do this once more before the end of the season, give you the rest of these plays. I'm sorry, the rest of these divisions. And after that, man, we'll be right back breaking down the actual games. I'm ready to do this. I know y'all are as well. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate my guys up in here. Appreciate Tease, Damon, man, over here giving out great advice. DJ Big Boss, Dabby Cab, Good, Jay Peasy, everybody that tuned in on Spaces, my boy Antonio. I seen him up in here. My boy G5, everybody that was up in there. Appreciate y'all, man. Y'all already know what it is. We're gonna do this shit one more time. Until then, until we do it again, y'all stay prayed up, bro. If you out here in LA, you know, it's a hurricane and shit, but go get you some Raising Canes. It's all good.
We've got to have money.
You already know.